We said simply this: I am not going to participate in reducing funding for the police after we saw major city after major city defund the police. When you reduce funding for police, you actually lose lives in the communities.
So there was around $1 billion divested from police budgets in 2020. Only 160 million of those dollars went into community-based services. The majority of the demand is not defund. It's not about taking away. It's about what we put in that place. There are a lot of pundits and elected officials and politicians who are using this idea that defunding the police is going to make us less safe, that with defunding the police in 2020, that is why their crime rates are going up in this country.
With violent crime on the rise, some of those proposed budget cuts are on the verge of possibly being reversed by elected leaders.
When you take law enforcement officers off the street, you will inevitably see more crime in those communities.
You clearly saw catastrophic failures.
But there are a few facts that are important to note. The first is that the majority of the cuts to police budgets last year, which are phenomenal and they should not be overlooked, advocates did a lot of work on that, they only amount to less than 1% of the over $100 billion that the US spends on policing annually. So there was around $1 billion divested from police budgets in 2020. Only 160 million of those dollars that were cut from police budgets went into community-based services. And so what we see was only a small portion, a small fraction of the demand to defund the police enacted, where politicians are not actually investing. One study found that every 10 additional community-based nonprofits in a medium-sized city leads to a 12% reduction in homicide rate and a 10% reduction in violent crime. That means that if you add these small community-based nonprofits that are no more staffed than like 2 or 3 people, we can significantly decrease crime in communities and decrease violence and the harm that's being perpetuated. In Philadelphia, there was a study that showed that simply cleaning vacant lots in neighborhoods that are below the poverty line resulted in a 29% decrease in gun assaults. They do not get at the root causes of harm or crime or violence. They solely come in with one tool and one tool only, and that is violence or the threat of violence. All they can do in responding to something is escalate a situation, harm someone, arrest somebody. There is this massive power structure that we have been indoctrinated into to believe that this is the only way forward, that the only way for justice and healing to happen is to hurt people and punish people. Why don't we invest in a system that helps prevent that from happening from the start? And why don't we also invest in restorative and transformative justice systems that aren't just punitive, that don't just respond to harm with more harm and more trauma, where everybody can get some sense of closure?